Hello everyone, my name is Seamus Lewin. I'm the public horticulture intern here at the Scott Arboretum of Swarthmore College, and welcome to this month's installment of Gardeners Almanac. I'm going to be showing you guys some common weeds in the Pennsylvania area and how to remove them. Hey everybody, so the first weed I'm going to be showing you guys is Euphorbia supina, or creeping spurge. Spurge is a low-growing plant that likes to spread out horizontally across the ground. They really like full sun, and they like to grow in the most inhospitable places you can possibly think of. They prefer rocky, gravelly beds, or as you can see here, growing in between the cracks in the sidewalk. The easiest way to identify spurge is their bright red stems. When they're in ideal growing conditions, the redness of the stem gets a lot more pronounced, but since we're approaching cold season, it's sort of fading a little bit. Another telltale sign of euphorbia is going to be when you pick it, it exudes this white milky sap, and that's common to all plants in the Euphorbiaceae family. The easiest way that I've found to remove spurge is just to get as close to the roots as you can, pinch, and pull like that. Make sure you remove the crown of the root when you're pulling it, because if you leave the crown, the entire plant is able to grow right back. And that's how you get rid of spurge. Hey guys, the second weed I'm going to be showing you is Fragaria virginiana, or wild strawberry. Wild strawberry is a creeping plant that grows horizontally across the ground. It spreads indefinitely by runners. Runners are stems that grow horizontally across the ground, and they anchor at certain points, just allowing the plant to clone itself and spread indefinitely across any wide area. This plant's identifiable by its 5 leaves here. You can see they're a little bit spiky, and it's always going to have this 5-leaf pattern. These plants do produce strawberries, but for humans, they're not going to be very edible. They're about half the size of a blueberry, and they're mostly consumed by smaller rodents in the area. These are considered weeds because of how quickly they spread. As you can see, if you let them, they will take over almost an entire garden space. This is about a month and a half worth of growth. We already mulched on top of these before, and they just continue to grow back. The best way for me to remove these is by using a tool like this small hand tool or a scuffle hoe. And what you want to do is you want to get close to the root of the plant, and you want to just essentially destroy the root. And then once it's destroyed, you want to mulch on top of it, and hopefully that prevents growth for a few months. But if you really want to get rid of these, you're most likely going to have to spray them. Hey guys, the third plant I'm going to be showing you is Solidago canadensis, or Canada goldenrod. The most identifiable traits are going to be these yellow flowers that you see on the top. And then it also has alternating lance-shaped leaves. That means that a leaf is going to be growing on alternating sides of the stem, and lance shape means they're thin and they taper at both the side attached to the stem and the furthest side. So these are considered a native, but many people remove them from their gardens because of how quickly they spread. They spread via rhizomes, and rhizomes are very similar to runners, except they're under the ground. So they're horizontal stems that will grow and then root at certain intervals, allowing one plant to clone itself how many times? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 plus times in a very small area, and you'll end up with a complete invasion of Canada goldenrod. These things do taproot. So the original goldenrod is going to have a taproot that extends, it could be a few feet into the ground. So I recommend using a large spade or shovel. And what you're going to do is you're going to dig around the goldenrod until you can get it to come up. Now, as you can see, this isn't the original goldenrod because its roots are shallow, and you can see right here the rhizome that spawned this goldenrod. If I was to take all of these out, one of them or two of them would have a taproot that goes very deep into the ground, and I would have to dig it out. But luckily, this isn't the original, so its roots are fairly shallow. So the fourth weed I'm going to be showing you is Pinellia ternata. Most people refer to it as Pinellia, but its common name is crow dipper. These are native to Japan, and anyone who owns their own garden has probably seen their fair share of Pinellia. They are very hated for their invasiveness and stubbornness. They like moist soil, so beds that are getting watered a lot, you're gonna see them pop up. They have trifoliate leaves, so they're always gonna be in a 3-leaf formation like this, and they have a fleshy green stem. These things can be difficult to remove because they have a corm that resides below the surface, and you'll see it when I dig it up. This corm is right here. So a lot of times the corm will be in a random spot somewhere along the stem here, and it's just gonna look like a little ball. About half the size of a blueberry, it'll pop up here. And the thing that's important about this corm is that if you compost this Pinellia like this, that corm will spread all through your compost and you'll have Pinellia popping up all over your soil. So the way to know that you removed the Pinellia correctly is if you see the corm on the stem, and once you do remove it, make sure you throw this out. Do not compost it. So the 5th weed I'm gonna be showing you is Cyperus esculentus, or yellow nutsedge. So yellow nutsedge likes moist soil, and it's gonna pop up in beds that are getting watered a lot. It's gonna rob other plants of essential nutrients, and is definitely a huge pest for areas that are watered a lot. As you can see, this entire lawn is just spawning nutsedge everywhere. The way to best identify a yellow nutsedge is it's gonna have a very pronounced ridge in its leaf here. It's hard to see on camera, but if you do happen to pick one of these up, you can see there's a very large indent in the center of the leaf. Additionally, there's a saying that a lot of the gardeners here taught me. It's called sedges have edges. If you roll the stem of this in your fingers, you're gonna feel definite edges in there. And if you look at it, it almost forms a pyramid of edges. So it's gonna have 1, 2, 3, and that's the easiest way to tell it's yellow nutsedge. Thankfully, these come out of the ground very, very easily. You can simply just reach down, pull one up, and you're pretty much gonna get all the roots there. And additionally, similar to Pinellia, do not compost these. These will spread in your soil. You're really gonna wanna trash this, and that's the best way to get rid of yellow nutsedge. So the 6th weed I'm gonna be showing you is Oxalis stricta, or wood sorrel oxalis. So if you're looking at it, you might be like, that looks a lot like a clover. And yes, it does. They have trifoliate leaves, so 3 leaves here, and they like to grow more upright. As you can see, it's coming a few inches off of the ground here. A lot of people leave these as ground covers in their gardens, but what you need to be sure of is that you really want them, because once they get established, they have rhizomes that come across all under the soil, and they're gonna spawn a bunch of new ones. So if you do leave these, make sure you really want them. The easiest way to remove them is pretty simply just to pinch at the top of the roots and pull. You don't really have to worry about leaving too many roots in the ground because they won't come back as long as you get the majority of the crown there. The entire plant is edible, actually. The leaves, the stems, everything. It has a little bit of a lemony, like tart flavor. You can make a similar drink to lemonade, but don't eat too much because they have high oxalic acid concentrations, which is not great for your body. The 7th weed I'm gonna be showing you is Polygonum pennsylvanicum, also known as Pennsylvania smartweed. The telltale sign of a smartweed is gonna be these pink and purplish flowers that you're gonna see at the top of the plant. These often grow in clusters. As you can see, this is a cluster of multiple smartweed, and they really prefer to grow on the edges of beds. I see these a lot on the edges of tree rings or on the edge of beds right next to the part that is soil/mulch and basically in the grass. This is generally the place they like to grow best. And for me, the easiest way to remove them is to just find where the stem goes into the ground. You want to get as close to the soil as you can, pinch and pull. Don't be afraid that you left too much in the ground. As long as you get a majority of the crown here, these things will die. You don't have to worry about leaving a little bit of roots and the plant fully regenerating. For the most part, they're not that hardy if you pull their roots out. This can be composted, so don't worry about that. And that's how you get rid of Pennsylvania smartweed. Thank you guys for joining me in this month's installment of Gardeners Almanac. Please come visit the Scott Arboretum. We're open from dawn until dusk, and hopefully this helps with your fall weeding shenanigans.